What is going on? This is Cody, and you are tuned in to B-Boy 45, broadcasting from the Seacrest Studios. And it is another special edition of the latest news to keep you in the groove with Maya. Maya, why is today's edition so special?
Because Andrew Rannells is calling in.
Andrew Rannells, welcome!
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here from both of us.
Yeah.
Maya, it's your show, girl. Take it away.
Thanks. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for calling in. I have been so excited and actually in disbelief that I'm going to talk to you. And I've kind of been pinching myself since the interview got set up. I'm like, this has to be a dream. Like, I can't believe this is happening. So,
well, you're building me up too much. I'm so excited to be here, and I was so excited to get your invitation. So, thank you so much for including me.
Of course, yeah. So, my first question for you is, how did you first get interested in musical theater?
I was about Well, I was pretty little. My dad started showing me very old MGM movie musicals with an actress named Betty Grable in it when I was about 6. So I would watch these very old timey musicals with my dad, and then my mom, seeing that I really liked musicals, said, "Have you should watch the Tony Awards that are on every year." And this was a long time ago. This was before the internet, so you couldn't just look things up on YouTube. So you had to wait until June when the Tonys were on to sort of see what the Broadway shows were. I'm from Nebraska, so we were very far away from New York City. So we weren't taking any trips to Broadway. So I just started watching the Tonys when I was about 10. And then it really got serious when I saw falsettos on the Tony Awards, and I just completely fell in love with that show. And I just decided, I was like, I think this is really what I want to do. I want to do this. So I was pretty young, but my parents didn't really know much about theater or how to get me into theater. So I was very fortunate that there was a children's theater by my house where I grew up, where we used to take field trips when we were in grade school. And I started seeing shows there. And then I asked my mom one day, I was like, how do I get on stage with those people? And she said, well, they have auditions. You can try out to be in the show. And I tried out a couple times unsuccessfully. And then when I was in the 5th grade, I finally was cast in a show. And that sort of just lit that fire in me. And I never wanted to do anything else. I just always wanted to do musical theater. So I decided at a pretty young age that that's what I wanted to do.
Oh, cool. So how did you make the transition from Broadway to TV?
Well, that took a long time. I mean, I worked on Broadway. My first Broadway show was Hairspray, and that was in 2005. I was a replacement in that show, and I did it for about a year and a half. I was an understudy for 9 months, and then they offered me one of the roles that I understudied. I was Link Larkin for about 9 months, and that led to a job as a replacement in Jersey Boys. I was on tour with that for a while, and then went to Toronto, and they asked me to come to Broadway with that. And it was after I did Jersey Boys that I thought, I really want to do a new show. Like, I want to be the first person to play a part. I was so lucky to get to replace people, but I really wanted to do something first. You know what I mean? So after a lot of auditions and a couple years of doing shows out of town, new shows that people were hopeful that would come into New York that did not come into New York, then I was cast in the Book of Mormon. And the Book of Mormon was a big hit in New York, and it was a really hot ticket for a long time. And because of that, a lot of people from Los Angeles came to see the show. And a lot of people in New York who work in television saw the show. So it was because of that show that I was cast in a TV show called Girls on HBO with Lena Dunham. And I did that while I was still in the Book of Mormon. I would do the Book of Mormon, and then on my days off or my day off, I would go film Girls. And then Ryan Murphy, who you probably know from like Glee and things like that, he came to see the show and he offered me a job in a new TV show called The New Normal that he was going to do for NBC. But it really wasn't on my radar, Maya. I was so happy to be in New York on Broadway doing this thing that I had always dreamed I would get to do or hoped I would get to do. The TV part of it was not something that I was really thinking about too much. So it was kind of a big surprise that all of a sudden I had these two jobs that were on television. I was very grateful for it, but it happened. It kind of came out of nowhere, if I'm being honest. It wasn't something that I was looking for. It was just kind of something that happened because of the Book of Mormon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, of all your Broadway roles, which one has been your favorite?
Maya, that's a hard one. That's a really tricky one. I mean, the Book of Mormon will always be very close to my heart because it was my first time originating a role on Broadway. So that one will always be, very, very special to me. But I have to say, when I got to do falsettos, that really meant a lot to me because I remember I was about 12 years old when I saw that on the Tony Awards. And I just loved that show. I don't know if you're familiar with that show at all, but it's one that it was just one of my absolute favorites. So when James Lapine, who wrote and directed that original production, asked me to be a part of that revival, that was just something I couldn't have even expected. It was such a dream come true. So that one, and plus that cast was so great. Christian Borle was in it, and Stephanie Block, and Betsy Wolfe, and Tracy Toms, and Brandon Uranowitz. And it was just a very tight-knit group. So it felt like that was a very special show to get to be a part of. Did you ever see that show?
I didn't.
They filmed it for PBS, so it's floating around out there. It's on a couple different platforms, but I just think it's a really beautiful show. So yeah, I think that might be my favorite. But it's hard, Maya. It's hard to pick.
Yeah. So, what is your favorite musical?
That's also very hard, but I think I've successfully narrowed it down to two. Maybe it's hard to pick. I would say Into the Woods was the first musical I saw. Again, they filmed it for PBS, and I saw that on TV, and I just completely fell in love with that show with Bernadette Peters and Chip Zien and Joanna Gleason. I was just blown away by that musical, and I listened to it constantly and would act it out in my bedroom. Normal things that 12-year-old boys do in their bedrooms after school. I knew all the parts to that show. I still do. So that one was really very influential on me. And I think that as I got older, I really appreciated another Stephen Sondheim musical called Sunday in the Park with George, which Bernadette Peters was also in with Mandy Patinkin, also written by James Lapine, who wrote Falsettos. So it all kind of comes back together. And he wrote Into the Woods. So that's another one that when I first saw it when I was younger, I don't know if I fully understood it. And as I get older, I really have such great appreciation for that musical. I just love it. So apparently I'm a big Sondheim fan. Are you a Sondheim fan as well, Maya?
I am, yeah.
Do you have a favorite of his or of any musical? What would your favorite be?
Well, okay. I am a fan of his because I've heard his name in a ton of things, and he's such a Broadway legend, but yep. I don't know what all of the musicals he's done. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I always liked Broadway and these Broadway soundtracks, but it wasn't until quarantine and lockdown happened that I really got obsessed with some. So I think my favorite, I have a bunch, but I think my very favorite is Spring Awakening.
That's such a good musical.
Yeah.
Such a good musical. I love that show and I love that music. I just think it's so great. I didn't get, it's unfortunate. I never got to see it on stage because the first time it was around, I went on tour with, I think that was around the time I was on tour with Jersey Boys. So I was gone. And then I came back and was doing a show. And the hard part about being in a Broadway show is that you don't really get to see a lot of shows. And that was the same case with the revival that I was on. I was doing another show, so I didn't get to see it. So I've never seen a production of it, but I think the music is so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. I really wish I could have seen it on stage.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I bet there's a bootleg around there somewhere. I know we're not supposed to promote those, but
yeah,
it might be somewhere out there, Maya.
Yeah. I found that then when I first got obsessed with Spring Awakening, I was finding all these clips on YouTube to watch of the musical, and I found their performance at the Tony Awards. And so I just watched that on a loop, and I had the soundtrack on a loop. And so I drove my family a little bit crazy with that because it was just Spring Awakening all the time.
Well, at least it's very good music. So, I mean, there could have been worse musicals to listen to. No, that's a really good one. They just did a reunion concert here in New York, which, again, I didn't get to see. But that whole original cast got together and they did a concert, which would have been very cool to see. But I missed that, too.
Yeah, I really wanted to go to that, but we weren't able to. So
I know. Well, I know. And that was still at a time, too, where that was sort of early in the theater reopening process. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you played Trent Oliver in The Prom, which I
right behind you.
That movie. Yes. Yeah. So that's one of my favorite movies. I watch it all the time. So I was wondering, what was your favorite scene to film?
Well, selfishly, Love Thy Neighbor was very fun. And I know that's was Trent's number. So that's sort of a easy answer. But never in my life did I think I would get to dance around in a fountain with a bunch of people singing around me. That was really, really fun. It was 4 days of filming that. It was very hard, and I hadn't danced like that in a very long time. So I had to really work to catch up. But the guy who choreographed it, Casey Nicholaw, had choreographed the Book of Mormon. So he knew sort of what my dance level was. Because I'm not a super strong dancer. So I can't do a lot of tricks and things, but I had a couple things up my sleeve. So he knew what I could do. But the other number that was so much fun and that we filmed for an entire week was the finale, which I just think is such a joyful, fun, exciting number. And we got to Ryan Murphy, who directed it. He cast a lot of local queer youth in that area to come in and learn some of the choreography and also just be background in the number. So every time we did it and we would finish, everyone would applaud. And it felt like we were doing a live show, which was really exciting because we had all of these high school students, all these young folks who were there and so excited to be there and so excited to just be a part of the storytelling. And I would get choked up every time we would do it, just because I think it's such a beautiful ending to that movie. I think I was very proud to get to be a part of that, because I feel like as a queer person myself, and growing up in the Midwest where that movie takes place, it just really meant a lot to me that here we are celebrating everyone and being inclusive. And plus I got to dance with James Corden and Nicole Kidman and Meryl Streep. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Oh, cool. So you guest starred in one of my favorite episodes of the Will and Grace reboot.
Oh yeah.
That is also an episode that I just watch a lot, and I just am like crying from laughter. So I just like crack up every time I watch it. And so I was wondering how you like got through those scenes with a straight face.
Well, it was very hard. I mean, I think what helped was I was super nervous. I mean, I watched Will and Grace. That started when I was about, I don't know, 19, 20 years old. And I watched it religiously. I loved that show. So, was a huge fan of it. And also a huge fan of Jane Lynch, who played my wife in that episode. And I just think she's one of the funniest actors in the world. I just think she's the best. So I was very nervous to work with them and to be on that set. And I never thought I would have that opportunity. I didn't, when the show was over, I just thought the show was over. So the fact that they did that reboot was a big deal. So my first couple days rehearsing with them, I was just terrified because I didn't want to mess up. So I think that was very helpful. The cool thing was that was the first time I ever got to do what they call a multicam TV show, where you film it in front of a live audience. So it really did feel like the best hybrid between television and theater, because here we were in front of a live audience, really doing it kind of like a play. I mean, you do stop and start, and there are some, you do scenes more than once. So it's a little, there is some, adjustment there, but for the most part, you're in front of a live audience. So I think that part of my brain kicked in too, that I was going to have to, just perform for these people. So that was, and, I was working with some of the best people on television. So they were taking it very seriously. So I was like, you got to pull up, Rannells. Don't start laughing at these people. But it was definitely a pinch me moment. Definitely.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. It was a few years ago. My mom introduced my sister and I to Will and Grace, and we just watched the whole series, and I became obsessed, and it became like my favorite show ever. So
do you have a favorite character? I know they sort of each fill a different spot, but is there anybody you particularly like on that show?
I think Jack.
Yeah.
My sister and I, we always joke that Jack is both of our spirit animals. So yeah,
that's a good one to have. I feel like mine might be Karen, which I don't know what that says about me. But I feel like Karen might be my spirit animal. I don't know. So funny.
Yeah,
very funny.
Yeah, that is just, it's also just a show that I will constantly quote.
Yes.
Just in conversations, I will just I will just quote one of the characters, and then people who haven't seen the show just look at me and they're like, what are you saying?
I would get it. I would know what you're saying.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I would definitely know.
Yeah. So Okay, I have to ask you about, because I watched your interviews with Jimmy Fallon, and
Oh, yeah.
where you talked about It's Karate Kid the musical. I have to ask you about that, because that was
I know.
so could you tell us about that?
Can I explain that?
Yeah.
What was that? Yeah, it's very hard to explain, Maya. I, yes, was cast in this musical. It was in New York. It was off Broadway, so very far away from Broadway. And it was, it was sort of a silly kind of spoof of the movie Karate Kid, with original-ish music. Like, so they changed the lyrics to some songs, and it was all highly illegal. Like, they didn't pay for the rights to anything. It was really, I don't know how we got away with it, but it just ran for a few weekends. But it was so much fun. And I was playing the villain. I was playing Johnny Lawrence. And it was just so silly. And I don't know, it was just, it was just a very silly, fun time. Like, I knew that it wasn't going to go anywhere. Like, I knew there wasn't a life for Karate Kid, the musical, but I was 25, I think, and really just having fun. And it just sort of reignited my love of doing even silly, live musical theater. And it was during that show that I auditioned for Hairspray and got it. It was like my third audition for Hairspray, and I wasn't going to go. I was like, I'm not going to do it because, like, they would have cast me by now if they wanted me. And I was doing the show at night, and I was kind of tired. And my friend Kevin Cahoon said, he was like, no, you have to go. He's like, you absolutely have to go back. So I went back for the third time, and that's when I got cast, was that third audition. So it was also a good reminder to me to, like, just keep persevering. And if, you might not get it on the first try, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen later. So it was a good lesson.
Oh, cool. So you're currently on the show Black Monday. What is the biggest challenge of being on a show based on historical events?
Well, the show is mostly about Wall Street. And when we started, I had no knowledge of the stock market or Wall Street. So here I was trying to play like a young stockbroker, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Luckily, a few episodes in, we sort of got away from the technical part of Wall Street. So they didn't have to panic so much, but the first episode, I was very nervous because I had a lot of sort of technical jargon to say about Wall Street and the finance world. And I tried my best, to research things, but I've never been good at math. I've got to be honest with you. I was never good at math. So I wasn't really keeping track of Wall Street. So that was a big challenge to sort of figure out how to make sense of all of that stuff. But the rest of it was really great. Don Cheadle and Regina Hall, like, the cast was super, super fun, and they were all so nice. And I was very intimidated to work with Don Cheadle and with Regina, because they had both been in, they've in so many movies and have had these incredible careers, but they both were so kind and so generous, that, again, like, just going into that, we became a little family pretty quickly. So that was really nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you have been in so many different things, like The New Normal with Justin Bartha, who I actually interviewed a couple years ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And then also, like you mentioned, the series Girls. Of all the roles and projects you've been a part of, is there one that you've related to the most?
That's a very good question, Maya. I would say, part of me the role I played on Girls, I think I was a little bit older than he was supposed to be, but that show is about young people moving to New York after college and trying to figure out sort of how they fit into the city and what are they going to do. And so I did relate to that feeling a lot, but I would say maybe, I guess it's maybe Elder Price. I felt like I really related to a lot from the Book of Mormon, because he was I feel like when I moved to New York, I was very ambitious and I felt like I knew exactly what I needed to do and I was going to get on Broadway right away. And it took, it was like 6, almost 7 years before I got my first Broadway show. And much like Elder Price, feels like he's going to just come charging in as a missionary and be super successful. He ends up getting sent to Uganda with a mission partner that is not very helpful, and he just can't make it work and he can't find success. And it takes him a while to figure out how to be successful. So when we were working on that show, I realized that there was a lot of that character in me about sort of, getting disappointed and getting maybe a little impatient or down on yourself that things aren't happening fast enough. And it's was easy for me, I think, to sort of get disheartened about where I was in my career, or, I thought I should be further along than I was. And I feel like that's a lot of what Elder Price was going through, was that he felt like it should be happening faster. Everything should be happening faster. And, the reality is that sometimes things take a while, and it takes a while to find success, and it takes a while to feel like you're good at what you do. And that's another reason why I love that show so much, is because I just love that message that there is something, it's worth the wait, I think, and it's worth putting in the work to have the success. And if it's just handed to you, it's probably not going to mean that much in the end. So I would go with Elder Price on that one.
Oh, cool. So why was it important to you to write your memoir? Why too much is not enough?
That sort of came about. I was getting a lot of notes at the stage door of falsettos and even before that at Hedwig and Hamilton and young people asking me sort of, this kind of goes back to the last question about sort of like, what's the shortcut and what's the fastest way I can get on Broadway? And I think that I didn't have a very high profile career before the Book of Mormon. So I think the assumption is that was maybe my first show. And then I just showed up in New York and I got this huge Broadway musical, and it was all easy, to come by. And I guess I just wanted to tell some stories about sort of what those early years in New York were like, and that it did take a while, and there were a lot of ups and downs. And there was even a period of time where I stopped acting. There was a handful of years where I just felt really overwhelmed, and I got a job. I got a job doing a lot of voiceovers and directing cartoons. Saturday morning cartoons. I was on Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! And then I started directing Sonic the Hedgehog in the show called Kirby. And I don't know if you're familiar with any of those video games or those cartoons, but it wasn't exactly what I wanted to be doing. It didn't really feel like acting, and it didn't feel that creative. But, I felt like maybe a steady paycheck was a better idea. But I did it for a couple years, and then something inside me just kind of clicked, and I thought, I want to keep pursuing musical theater. I want to try that again. And that's when I went out and really, that's when I did Karate Kid. But then that led to Hairspray, and that sort of started this whole new career for me. So I wanted to tell those stories just because I feel like I didn't like the idea that it seemed, especially to young people, that it was easy, or that it was, just like, would just be something that's handed to you. It's a lot of hard work. So I guess I just wanted to tell some of those stories, just to sort of, a reminder that anything good that happens sometimes takes a lot of work.
Yeah. So if your life was turned into a musical, what would it be called and who would you cast?
What would it be called? I don't know. I feel like it would be something about like a boy from the Midwest coming to the big city. I don't know. I need to work on that title because it's a little long. And who would I cast? I would cast Jonathan Groff.
Yeah.
I would cast Jonathan Groff as me.
Cool.
I love his voice. Or maybe it should be probably some unknown young actor, because Jonathan and I are around the same age. So maybe we find like a brand new young actor. That would be good. Somebody unknown.
Yeah. I was gonna say I'd cast Jonathan Groff as my best friend.
He's a good friend to have. He's a very good friend. He was really the only person I knew. I replaced him in Hamilton for a little bit. And I was very excited to be in that show, but I didn't really know anybody. And Jonathan was my only friend in that show. And then he left. So I was so bummed. I've never gotten to really work with him, but I just think he's the best. And his voice is incredible. It's so beautiful. Yeah. He's really talented. He's a talented one.
Yeah. So what song would you want to wake up to every morning?
That's a good question, Maya. I don't know if you know it, but it's sort of a slow song, so I don't know how quickly it would get me out of bed. But there's a really beautiful song in Sunday in the Park with George called "Move On." And it's really, really beautiful. But again, it's kind of a slow one, so it might just make me want to stay in bed.
Yeah. So, what show are you currently binge watching?
Well, I'll be honest. It's pretty dark, Maya. It's a show called Ozark. It's a very dramatic. It's a very dramatic sort of crime show that I don't know if I would recommend in terms of just like light, fun viewing. But it's very, very good. But it's kind of scary and dark. It's a little dark and sort of violent. So I don't know if I can recommend it for everyone. But maybe your parents would enjoy it. But am I watching anything else that's a little more like fun? Well, can I be honest with you, Maya?
Yes.
Is this a safe space?
Yes.
I've been watching The Bachelor. I mean, I'm not proud of it, Maya. I'm not proud. But my friend Zuzana was watching it and she was like, just watch the first episode. Just watch it. So I did. And then I watched the second episode. And I think the third episode is on tonight. And I'm like, I guess maybe I should watch the third episode. I don't know. But it's not. I mean, it's garbage TV. I'm sorry if anybody works on it or has a parent or friend or family member who works on The Bachelor, but it's pretty trashy. But it's sort of fun just to watch something like, do you watch any reality TV like that? Like, do you have any go-tos?
I don't. Not with reality TV.
You're a better person than I am, Maya. It's good. Stay away from it. Stay away from it.
Okay, I will.
Now you've made me want to go back and rewatch Will and Grace. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And start from the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, I was so mad when they took it because it was free, and then they took it and put it on Hulu, and we don't have Hulu, so I was so mad. I was telling my mom, I was like, we gotta get Hulu so I can watch Will and Grace.
They just keep moving those things around, because then I think NBC also has a platform called Peacock, so maybe some of it's on that, but it's very hard to keep track of where anything is these days. I find there's too many shows. Too many shows out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too much.
Yeah. Just when you mentioned Ozark, I think my mom has seen a couple episodes, and then my sister and I tried watching it a couple years ago, and I was just so confused. I couldn't follow it.
It's a big crime show, and it's hard to keep track of who's stabbing who in the back and who's doing this deal and that deal. And but it's pretty dark. It's a pretty dark show. But what can I ask what you're watching? Do you have any recommendations for me in terms of scripted things? What are you watching right now?
Well, right now, I am watching Seinfeld right now.
Oh, nice.
And that one is really good. And then we binged watched Teen Wolf recently.
Oh, how was that?
This summer. I really liked it. My mom didn't love it, but I loved it. I thought it was so good.
Charlie Carver, who's on Teen Wolf, and I don't know who he played, but he's twins.
Yeah.
It's him. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We did a play together a couple years ago, and the movie version of The Boys in the Band we did. And it was always so crazy when he would come out of the stage door, because there was all of these young people waiting for Charlie because of Teen Wolf, because people love Teen Wolf. Did you watch like Riverdale or any of those things on Netflix?
I did. I watched the first couple seasons of Riverdale, and then I don't remember what happened. I haven't seen it.
I know. Well, sometimes it takes so long for those shows to come back that then by the time you do, you're like, what happened? What was going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did like that they did so many musicals on that show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did. I have watched all the, on YouTube, I've watched all the clips of
there you go.
those. And so, yeah. And actually, just going back to Teen Wolf really quickly,
yes, please.
I mean, I could just talk about that for a while because I just love that show. The last two seasons, though, got really, really scary.
Oh, really?
So the last two, they were good, but the only reason I didn't like them was because they really scared me.
Too scary.
So my mom and I had to stop watching before it got dark out, because I would
I don't blame you.
Yeah, there were multiple times I did not sleep during the night.
Oh,
I
no.
just wake up terrified from a scene.
No, that's not good. That's not good for. Yeah, don't watch that before bed. Then that's not. Good.
Yeah, that's what also happened with Riverdale, that we couldn't watch that at night before we went to bed. So
that's good. Yeah, stay with the more. Just watch the musical clips. That's all you need. That's all you need to see.
Yeah, and then watch Will and Grace.
Yes, yeah. Nothing scary happens on Will and Grace. That's good.
Yeah. So I just have two more questions for you. So what do you do to cheer yourself up when you're having a bad day?
I listen to show tunes. That's what I do. I listen to musical stuff, and that always puts me in a better mood. I also feel like moving around, going to the gym or going for a run or something like that, that always sort of, takes me out of my head a little bit in a good way. Like if I'm really concerned about something, or just a little physical activity always kind of helps. So sometimes I'll do the two together, where I'll go for a run and listen to a musical at the same time, which some people would say, would not be very motivating, but I enjoy it. I enjoy working out to show tunes. That's my motivational secret.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a whole Broadway soundtrack. Broadway playlist
Playlist.
that I just have on a loop and drive my mom and my sister crazy with it. So,
Do they also like musicals though? Are they musical theater fans?
yeah, they are. They don't. They don't like the music on 24/7. So
I get you.
yeah,
Sometimes you need a break.
yeah. But my mom, when I first got obsessed with all these soundtracks, my mom told me I was exactly like her when she was our age, because she also had Broadway soundtracks. She had specific Broadway soundtracks that she loved and had on a loop.
Did she tell you what they were?
Yeah, they were Evita, I think, and Phantom of the Opera, and a couple other musicals.
Evita's a good one. I often run to Evita.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a real good one. So tell your mom I agree.
Okay, I will. Yeah. So my last question for you, which I was trying to hold off on asking because I'm just having so much fun talking to you. But my last question for you is, who do you consider to be a real life superhero and why?
Recently I would say, I know it's going to be cheesy, but I'm going to be honest with you, Maya. I'm going to go with my mom. My mom is a real life superhero to me. And the older I get, the more I appreciate everything that she did there's 5 kids in my family. And she, we went through a lot as kids, and she was always like very chipper and supportive, and it's a lot of schedules to juggle with 5 kids, and she's managed to do it all. And I'll be honest with you, in this past year, she was diagnosed with leukemia, and she has been going through chemotherapy, and she's kept her disposition the entire time, her sunny disposition. There are some rough days, as you know, and then there are days where everything sort of seems normal. But I'm just amazed with my mom that she is able to stay so positive and stay so optimistic about everything. And I'm just regularly amazed by her that she's a real fighter, and her positivity is very contagious.
Oh, I love that. Well, I hope she's doing okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
She's it's a long process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
that can't be the last question. It feels like we just started talking.
I know. I'm trying to think of more questions I can ask you.
I can start asking you questions. Do you have a favorite number from the prom? And you don't have to say "Love Thy Neighbor." Just take that off the board. You don't have to say that.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that, but I think my besides that one, I love You Happened.
Oh yeah.
And then It's Not About Me.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That was the first number we filmed, was It's Not About Me. Yeah,
oh, really?
Which was really, really fun to do. Yeah. James and I just would watch. We were just watching Meryl Streep dance. And we were like, I can't believe it. I can't believe we're here. Yeah, it was very, very exciting. Well, I will pass that along, that's one of your favorites. That's good to know. She'll enjoy that. And Maya, I'm available to talk anytime you'd like. So anytime you need a fill-in guest, if someone drops out, I'm here.
Thank you.
We can talk about all sorts of things.
Yes, I can. I can just tell you all about Teen Wolf. And
Yes, you can tell me about Teen Wolf. I'll see if I can't find some photos from Karate Kid the musical.
Okay. Yes, I want to see those.
I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
Well, Andrew, thank you so much for spending so much time with us and sharing all of the
Yes.
fun.
Yeah, thank you
Well,
so
thank you.
much.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. It was so nice to meet you, Maya.
You too.
And I mean it.
love-
Have me back anytime. I would love it.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, I'd love for you to come back.
Perfect.
So,
All right. Take care.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.